keep it real with ya.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to say I just turned 25 this past Friday. I have no idea how to feel about it. Only thing I can say to people is my brain is now fully developed. Might sound like a good thing. To me, it's an awful thing because I'm like, damn, it's gonna be hard to learn shit now that my brain is fully developed. It's not as spongy. It's not as neuroplastic as it should be. Neuroplastic. My brain isn't as neuroplastic as it should be. I don't fucking know. The point is, I'm 25 years old now, and I've just been, eating Japanese food and drinking Jack and Coke to kind of like celebrate. I also want to show you guys my cool shirt. Look at this. Nice, right? Now, I'm gonna show it to you from the back. So I got this shirt from Hot Topic, and they had a Junji Ito shirt. They did. But it was all Uzumaki stuff, and like anybody who knows about Junji Ito, like, yeah, I get it. Everybody loves Uzumaki. Uzumaki's not my favorite. Gyo and is more of my favorite. But these shirts are made for guys. They're like men's shirts. So they don't really know what to do in the boob area. So maybe in another video I'll wear this. Sadie, what do you want? Say, do you need something? You just want to be a part of the video now? Say, can you go somewhere? Thank you. Oh, I was just going back for my white pillows. But yeah, so I'm thinking I'll probably make another video, but I'll make it with more of a with maybe the shirt open. And we'll see how it goes. So today I wanted to talk about roommates, college roommates, dorm roommates, all of that stuff. Because I know that it's around this time where, everybody, you're either about to start college or, the next semester you're going to be living on campus for the first time. I've had people ask me about what's it like having roommates, what's it like living in a dorm room. And I know some people might be thinking like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to make new friends. I'm going to have these new connections. We're going to be living together just like they do on TV and in the movies. It's going to be awesome. And then there's also some people who are going to be like, man, this is going to be terrible. They're going to be roommates from hell. It's going to be awful and I'm going to be miserable. Whatever you think is going to happen, you're right. It's going to happen because it is all those things, honestly. Now, for me personally, living with people don't work out. I lived with my mom for like 18 years of my life. That shit didn't work out. I lived with my siblings for 18 years of my life. That shit didn't work out. And going to college was no different. So I'm not going to lie to you. Like I always say, I'd rather keep it real with you. So I'm going to tell you the real. And I'm going to tell you today about my first time living in a dorm room and having roommates. And Sadie is back. You got something to say, Sadie? I love you too, baby. She's over here just purring and bumping into stuff. So, first things first, when I first went to college, it was my first year, freshman, all of that, and they had us take this like, kind of like a little assessment, right? So it asks you, and this is just our college. I don't know if other colleges do this. But they ask you basically like about your living style. Are you messy? Are you clean? And the purpose of my college, because this was a liberal arts college, they were going to put you with someone of a different race. That was just going to happen. They let you know that up front. I was cool with that. Like I said before, I didn't have a lot of white people experience. I was excited about living with some white people. So that wasn't a problem. But you take this assessment saying about how you live and all of that stuff. I didn't put that I was clean because my mom is a neat freak. So to my mom, I was always super messy, but I'm more of a clutter person. Like, if you've seen some of my videos, you see that I have like a lot of shit, even on the desk behind the camera. I have a lot of shit going on there because I'm a clutter person, but I'm not a dirty person. I don't have like roaches and, food sitting out and all of that stuff. So I put that I was kind of like a mid-messy, but not all the way messy type of person. I thought that would suffice, because I don't want to live with someone who's a neat freak and they be mad at me for not being clean. I'll get to that in another video. So I put that. So move-in day, I'm wearing whatever My brother took a picture of me and I was super pissed about it because I literally was wearing whatever. But you know, we're moving in and everything, and I get to meet my 2 roommates. Now, before I bring up the roommates, let me explain to you what the layout of the dorm room was. So a lot of dorm rooms have 1 or 2 layouts. One layout is the big room, where it's 3 beds or 2 beds or however many people are going to be there, and it's just one big square. So y'all all looking at each other when you go to sleep. I would hate that. Ours was more of like a suite situation. So you had when you walk in, there's the one room, and there's 2 beds, 2 desks, and then there's an archway that leads into another room that's smaller than that other room, and there's 1 bed, 1 desk. And I wanted to be in that one because I don't like to be, first of all, I don't like to be sleeping by the entrance to the room. Like, that just kind of made me feel some type of way. But also because at the time I was on medication where I slept 12 hours. So I said, hey, I sleep 12 hours a day. It's going to be good for me to actually have this room where I'm separate from y'all, so I don't have to worry about dealing with distractions and stuff. And the women, they were cool about it. So that's kind of how it was. And then as far as the bathroom, you walk through my room to get to the bathroom, and then we share that bathroom with 3 other girls on the other side. So that's kind of how that is set up. So I move in, and I have my 2 roommates, these 2 white girls from very different backgrounds. You know, one, they have very unique names, so I'm going to give them basic ass names. So I say Sarah and Katie. So you got Sarah, she's kind of short, kind of, I wouldn't say stocky. I say she was kind of like solidly built. And then you have Katie, who's kind of tall and skinny, but for some reason, both of them were the exact same size and clothes. I don't know how that worked, but they seemed to hit it off like immediately. That was fine. I didn't care. And again, like I said, I didn't have a lot of experience with white people, so I wasn't really looking to see who was racist and who wasn't. But now I'm thinking back, I can kind of tell because Sarah's mom was very much, you know, talking to me, talking to my mom, talking to my brother, very excited about being in the city. And, you know, I had grown up in the city. They were from out of town. They were asking about the great places to go. And it was cool. She was very, very nice. She was a little too nice to me. Like, I was like, bitch, you in my face, back up. But she was very, really nice. And she was like very comfortable with us. Whereas Katie's mom was kind of like in the corner like this. Like she was scared or some shit. Like, I don't know what she was scared of. Because I'm like, you the parent here. Like, you should be trying to figure out who your kid's going to be living with. But whatever. She was really scared. So I'm like, yeah. So she probably was a little bit on the suspicious side. But it didn't bother me at the time. I didn't think nothing of it. I was just trying to get all my shit in there. And so then another thing that the college pushes on us is something called a roommate agreement. And I was very happy to do the roommate agreement because it's like, you know, we get to figure out, we get to learn about each other and like what's cool and what's not. So we talked about things like sharing clothes. Obviously, Sarah and Katie were the same size in clothes, so that was really more of a them thing. I was not comfortable sharing clothes, so it wasn't a problem. We talked about sharing food. I didn't want to be a bitch. So this is where I made my first mistake. I didn't want to be a bitch and be like, what's mine is mine. Don't touch my shit. Da, 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 da. So I was like, oh yeah, sure. You know, we could share food and drinks or whatever. Cause I was the one who brought the mini fridge and the microwave. So I was like, yeah, we can share food or whatever. Just, you know, let me know. I was kind of trying to make it seem like, you know, I'd rather you ask me first, but I kind of was like being really like, nonchalant about like, oh yeah, it's whatever. I'm not stingy. I'm not, you know, I'm not a bitch. That was my first mistake. I shouldn't have said that. But then we also talked about messy and clean. And I was like, well, you know, it doesn't bother me that much. I just tried to make it seem like I was like cool with everything because this was my first time living with people that wasn't my family. This is my first time living in a dorm room. This is my first time at college. I just wanted to seem cool with everything because I wanted us to have like a good relationship. So I was just making it seem like I was cool with everything as far as the rules were. And then we talked about, having guests over. I was like, oh yeah, sure, you can have guests over, you know. I think I had said something like, let me know beforehand so I know, because so I'm not like in my underwear or whatever and somebody comes over. We also had something about the doors being locked, and I was like, and they weren't really into the doors being locked. I was very much into the doors being locked. So I was like, oh, well, you know, a compromise kind of, you know, maybe we should lock the door at night, you know, that way while I'm sleeping, I'm not scared that someone's just going to walk in and out of the apartment. But I was trying to be as accommodating as possible because of the fact that I sleep 12 hours. I I don't still sleep 12 hours, but at the time I was taking medication that made me sleep 12 hours. So I didn't want to be like, y'all got to build your whole dorm life around me and my sleep schedule. So I was just kind of like, let's just keep it locked at night. But, throughout the day, I guess it's fine that it's not locked or whatever. So those are kind of the rules that we had to, establish, was like, locking doors, sharing food, sharing clothes, cleanliness and all of that stuff. And I mean, even when they said that they were messy, like in my mind, because I had such a neat freak of a mother, messy to me just means, cluttered. You might have a bunch of shit on your desk. You might have a chair that you throw your jackets on all the time and stuff like that. That's what messy meant to me. So I was not worried about it at all. So let me tell you where the problem started happening. The problem started happening when they did not tell me when we would have company. And because of the layout of the room, again, when you first walk into the room, it's their 2 beds and their desk. And then I walk through there to get to my room. So I would come in and it would be the 2 of them laying in bed with some dude. And this is the middle of the day. This isn't nighttime or anything. It would be the 2 of them laying in the bed with some dude hanging out, I guess watching a video. I don't know what they was doing at the time. But I just remember walking in the room and seeing the 2 of them laying in bed with some dude. And I was immediately like, okay. I'm going to go to my room now. I didn't know what to do in that situation. Like, I've been in class all day. I come back from class, I'm ready to relax, and I just walk in there, just some nigga in the bed. And when I say nigga, I just mean some dude. It was a white guy. Don't read too much into me using the word, using N-word. But yeah, so it was just kind of weird, and it was awkward, and I was just like, and I just go to my room. Like, I wasn't going to tell them to get out or anything. I was just like, y'all can do what you want. Y'all grown. We're all grown here, or at least we're trying to be grown. Yeah, so I would just go past them and walk in my room. And then another thing that was an issue was that they were never locking the doors. Never. Not even at night. They were never locking the doors. They were super active at night as far as like having people over. They started rollerblading in the hallways. And the way that the dorms were set up, I could hear everything. So like, first of all, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to skateboard or rollerblade and all that stuff indoors anyway. But they were rollerblading, they were being loud. They were going out to parties, coming back being loud, having people over. They were like drawing on shit and putting it on the walls of not just our room, but of the entire dorm. Like they were just wilding. And that caused another problem. And I should have said something at the time, but I didn't. I didn't know what to say because I was like, is this even a rule? Like, am I being a bitch by telling him not to do it? I guess it's not hurting anybody. It was just a little annoying to me because I'm like, bitch, I'm trying to sleep. It's like, what the fuck? Where is my watch? Have I not been wearing my watch all day? Damn. But I was like, bitch, like, it's like 10 o'clock. Come on, come down. So that was another problem that came up that I didn't say anything about because I didn't want to be a bitch. Another problem was shit started going missing. So as far as like, remember how earlier I said that we had agreed to share food and stuff, and I was just like, just let me know before you get something. They didn't let me know anything. Shit would just go missing. That was mine. I remember one time that sticks out, like I got a Sprite, just 1 can of Sprite, and I put it in the mini fridge, and I was like waiting on that Sprite all day. I was like, get home. I'm going to have my dinner from the cafeteria and I'm going to eat in my room and I'm watch some TV and I'm going to have my Sprite. Go in to grab a Sprite. Sprite's gone. So then I'm like, hey, y'all, like, what happened to my Sprite that I had in there? And they were like, oh, I drank, like, I don't remember if, okay, let me tell you something. Sarah and Katie, they acted the same. I can't tell which one said which. So I'm just going to say it was Sarah. But then Sarah was like, oh, yeah, I drank it. And I'll be like, but that was the only one left. Like, you couldn't tell me that you were going to drink it. Like, that was the only Sprite in the refrigerator and you knew it wasn't yours. She's like, I mean, it was in there. So, we can drink it. It was in the mini fridge. I was like, okay, so this is a problem, and the same thing happened with like certain food items or certain snacks or whatever that were sitting in the dorm room. They would just go missing. And part of it was, yeah, they didn't ask me, but the other part of it was like, I felt crazy because I would have something in a place. And again, remember, my room is separate from theirs. So I would have something in a place and then it would disappear, and they would never alert me to the fact that they were the reason that it disappeared. So it was messing with me mentally that things weren't where they were supposed to be, and they were acting like I was just like, you know, overreacting, which I could have been overreacting. I'm not gonna lie to you, I could have been overreacting to the situation. My mental health wasn't the best at the time. I'm not gonna lie to you and say that it was all them. You know, I should have spoke up, but I didn't. So that was another issue, was things would just go missing. A third issue was about the messiness thing. So when I thought they meant they were messy, I figured, you know, they weren't gonna make their beds. You know, they were gonna have, you know, stuff on the floor or whatever. As long as I could see the floor enough to walk to my room, I wasn't really concerned about how they was gonna be living their life in that part of the room. But this was beyond nasty, because they would leave open containers of food just in the dorm room out all day long. And I remember one time, I don't know why, they had bought some like, what you call it, like the cake frosting, but it was in a can. And they just popped the top off and they would just stick their finger in it and lick it. And they did the same thing with peanut butter. They would just stick their finger in there and lick it. And then Sarah had this thing about sriracha, where she would just like keep a bottle of sriracha sitting around so that she could just squirt it on her hand and then lick it whenever she felt like it, whether she washed her hands or not. And it was just really, really weird. But back to the open can of like the frosting, they just stick their finger in and lick it and then just leave the can of frosting sitting there, no top on it, no lid or nothing, just sitting there. And I remember one time I was counting, because I was like, I'm not gonna say anything. They're gonna come back, they're gonna notice it's open, they're gonna like put it up or something. No. I counted day after day after day after day. I think it got to the point where it was like a week where that open can of frosting had just been sitting there open, and they would just come through, dip the finger in it, lick it, walk away, leave it there open. And it really started to give me anxiety because I was nervous about roaches. I have a big thing about roaches. I cannot have roaches anywhere where I live. Like, I freak the fuck out when I see roaches. And I kept seeing it open and like, we're gonna have roaches. We're gonna have roaches. Like, why won't you put this up? Like, why? Like, isn't this like a refrigerator after opening situation? I don't know if it was or not, but you would think, you know. But with that and with the peanut butter, it was just like, just dip their finger in it and it's whatever. And Sarah and Katie, they had no boundaries. Like, it didn't matter who dipped the finger into what. They was just doing it. And I was just like, this is making me like really uncomfortable. And this is all first semester, by the way. This is all like a month in or whatever. It was just shit after shit after shit after shit. And every time I would try to like say something to them, they would act like I was just being extra, like I was being mean. And it just made things really, really tense. And then this was one of the things that was kind of like my final straw. So Katie started hooking up with this guy who, I don't remember if he was, I think he might have been like a junior maybe, because I know he was still there the next year. But he was this junior and I can't remember his name. I had this weird thing with white people at that age where I was like calling them by names that weren't their name. Like, I don't know, maybe it was like, maybe I was being a little radical black person or something. Be like, you want to call us other black people names, I'm going to call you other white people names. So I might actually accidentally say his real name because I can't remember. But I remember, let's just say his name was like Chris, and I was calling him Josh, you know. So every time I would see him, I would call him Josh, and he like laughed it off. He never said, don't do that. But I literally got to the point where I was legitimately confused about what this nigga name was. But yeah, let's say he was Josh or Patrick. Maybe he was a Patrick. I can't remember. But yeah, he sounds more like a Patrick. So like so Patrick started like fucking around with Katie. Now I personally, now maybe this is the black in me, I don't know, but I thought it was really suspicious that this guy who's in this kind of like, I won't say a position of authority, but he was like a resident assistant RA type of dude, and he was in a higher grade and everything, like was coming straight on to this freshman girl, and like they were immediately like having sex in the other room, like acting like I was asleep and couldn't hear them. Like, bitch, there's not a door there, it's an archway. I know what you're doing in there. But like they immediately started having sex or whatever, and I was like, you know what, whatever, she grown, let her do what she want to do. But what really pissed me off was one morning I woke up And this is a weekday. This is not the weekend. I woke up one morning and it was like probably like 8 a.m. because I went to bed at 8 p.m. I woke up at 8 a.m. And Patrick is just standing in my room naked. Like power posing in my room. Not in their part of the room. In my room. I don't know what he was doing. Like, I had just woke up and he was just in there power posing naked, and he looks back because he hears me moving around and he's like, "Good morning, Mina." Me being half asleep because I just woke up, I was like, "Get out. Get out of my room. I don't know what you're doing here, but you need to get out." That made me so uncomfortable. And all of the women who watch this, like, if you've ever had a situation like this, even just imagining you waking up in the comfort of your own bedroom and there's just a white man with no clothes on, just in your room doing whatever. He never told me what he was doing. He was standing in front of a dresser, so maybe he was looking for clothes. But but he don't stay there, so I don't know what he was doing. And I don't know. Maybe he was grabbing something off. I don't fucking know, okay? But it was 8 a.m. on a weekday, you know? Like, I had class at like 9 or some shit. Nigga, get the fuck up out of my room. I was done. I was done being nice about this, okay? I have been nice about everything else. That was the final straw. Just think about it now. I'm just like, I wish a nigga would. You know what I mean? But... So he walks out of the room. He like brushing me out. I mean, it's not like I was scary to him. Like, he was in ROTC and shit. Like, he could have easily beat my ass if he wanted to. Not that he knew about that though. I maintained a persona of like, I'll fight a nigga. I don't care. I don't care how big you are. I fight anybody. Honestly, if I have to, I'll fight anybody. But I kicked him out of my room. And so he went over to the other room, and that was the end of that. And I got ready. I got out of my room, I got ready, went to class and everything like that. But things started getting really, really tense between me and the other girls. And I think at one point I was asleep, but I had woke up because I was taking a nap. I know what you're thinking, like, you sleep 12 hours and then you nap? What the fuck, me? Bitch, I was tired, okay? College is tiring, especially the college I went to. Them motherfuckers was strict. You know, I had a teacher cuss me out because I wasn't formal enough with them in an email. Like, I had a lot going on at that point. And I remember one time I was like napping and I heard them talking shit about me in the other room. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, she's always asleep. Like, she never does anything but sleep." And da-da-da-da-da-da. And I was like, "These bitches talking about me?" So then I like shifted in the bed and they was like, "Ooh," like, you know, scared. Like, she's awake. Don't say anything. I'm like, "Bitches, I already know y'all don't like me. It's whatever. Like, you ain't gotta like me, but you need to change some shit." Like, I really was just at that point, I really was just like stressed out about living with them. I had started locking up my shit. Like, I had bought a chest with a lock on it, and I just started locking up my shit because I couldn't trust them not to just take something and then later on be like, "Oh yeah, I took that," or never say anything. So like, it was a very, very tense situation, constantly coming back to random people in the room, or them getting drunk and, you know, acting crazy or being loud and breaking all types of rules, them being messy. And it's not just messy, they was being nasty. Like, y'all nasty, okay? And I'm usually not the type to stereotype white people, but every time I told somebody about how they was acting, they was like, "Yeah, they white." And I was like, is this what white people do? Like, they just be with like, I know y'all like sriracha, but y'all like it that much? I don't know. I was confused. I was frustrated. And they just started acting like really antagonistic towards me, to where I think that they were trying to get me to move out. And I remember at one point having an argument with them where they tried to make it seem like, well, it's the two of us versus you, so you should move out because it's two of us versus you or whatever. And I was like, "No, I ain't going nowhere. I ain't did shit." So then we ended up having a meeting with the RA. I think I had reached out to the RA first. And so we had a meeting with the RA and we sat down. I felt so bad for this RA because RAs are just like, they're also students. So I felt so bad for her because she had such a sweet personality and a soft voice, and she was trying to mediate. But the three of us got in a room together, and Katie and Sarah just started yelling. They were like basically arguing that I was intimidating all of their guests, which I was like, I mean, you know, I can be intimidating sometimes. I ain't gonna lie to you about that, but I didn't think that's what I was doing. But it was like making it seem like I was intimidating all their guests. Like I would come in and they'd be there and I'd be mean to them or something, which really I just didn't say shit. I wasn't being mean. I just wasn't saying anything to them. But then I think Katie accused me of calling her a slut or telling people that she was a slut. Now, I did tell people that she was sleeping around with Patrick, but that was common knowledge. Patrick was sleeping around with everybody, honestly. Like, Patrick had a reputation. He had a other girlfriend, and he had a bunch of girls that he was, like, you know, sleeping with at parties and shit. Patrick was sleeping with everybody, so it really wasn't anything new. But she was, like, telling everybody that I've been sleeping around with people, and I've been in a serious committed relationship since we got here. And I was like, committed relationship? With Patrick? You sure that that's the same dude you talking about? Because, you were in a committed relationship with Patrick and every girl that he done slept with. Because we've seen this nigga at parties making out with girls and hanging out with other girls that's not you. So, I mean, I said that. I was like, girl, he's sleeping with everybody. And she got really, really mad about that. And they were just blowing up, and they were both like, we just feel like you should move out because it's the two of us here. It's easier for you to move out than for us to move out, so you should just move out. And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. Y'all need to act right. Period. And so the poor RA, she was just so scared and so sad, just sitting there like, oh, you guys, can we please just get along? Like, she had this soft voice, and she didn't know what to do with this. She wasn't ready. So then after they left, she was like, maybe this should be escalated. Maybe you should talk to like, there's like a higher RA, which is like an actual adult, who handles higher level issues. So I met with this person and I was explaining to them what was going on. I was like, yeah, they're trying to push me out of the apartment by acting very hostile to me and like talking shit and being rude and, you know, all of that stuff. So I think that, and then they were also mad because I started locking the doors at night and they would never bring their keys with them anywhere. So they would end up being locked out the room. Yeah, I was being petty. I know. But also, we had a written agreement where we said we would lock the doors at night. So, I mean, really, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to lie to you and say I was perfect in this situation. It had got to a point where we was all being petty to each other, honey. We was all, you know, being aggressive. And I was like letting them know, like, shit. Now, I don't usually say mama didn't raise something because mama didn't raise much at all. But mama didn't raise no bitch. I was not about to let these women, these young ladies, push me out of my room. This is my first year of college. I'm going through it mentally. I'm messing around with my medication. I'm seeing a new psychiatrist. I'm seeing a new therapist. Like, I'm trying to do all of this stuff, and I'm trying to manage being in a college that is super, super strict and super hard to pass. I'm not putting up with y'all bullshit when I come home to hang out or relax in my room. I'm not doing that. So, no, I'm not moving out. You just gonna have to deal with me. So we escalated. I escalated. They didn't escalate. I escalated to like the head HBIC, and it was another white woman. But I escalated to the head bitch in charge, and I was talking to her about what was going on. I was talking to her about all the rules they were breaking, as far as like putting stuff all over the walls of the dorm, not just the dorm room, but the dorm, about the rollerblading, about the having like random guys over, about the being disrespectful to me, about moving stuff around or taking stuff, about them being nasty, you know, like all of that stuff. I just told her everything. And she asked me something that was really interesting. She asked me if I thought it was a race thing. And she was like, do you think that they are being this way because you're black? And my first response was like, nope. This ain't got nothing to do with me being black, like, honestly. Now, if y'all think so, like, let me know in the comments. But for me personally, I didn't feel like it had anything to do with me being black. I felt it was because we just were really, really incompatible roommate-wise. And I think I had said at one point, like, bitch, like, when I did the assessment to be selected here, I did not say I was messy. And they were like, well, we said we were really messy. And I was like, well, I don't know what the fuck went wrong with that, but that is not what I said. But I was like, I just felt like we're really, really incompatible. And then I got to the point where we're like being antagonistic towards each other. And I told her, I said, I'm not moving. I don't want to move. So whatever got to be done, got to be done. So I think they had got written up or something for the rules that they were breaking, which made them even madder. Like, you could tell when a white woman don't like you and she just be looking at you like she be thinking real hard, but she ain't gonna say shit because she know you'll beat her ass. Because I could take both of them, honestly. Just think about it. Like, nah, they wasn't gonna throw hands. But they was really, really mad at me because I had reported the shit that they were doing that was wrong. And then I don't remember what happened, but it had got to the point where I was like, look, something's got to give, but I'm not giving. So they gonna have to give. They gonna either have to act right or they gonna have to leave. So at some point, I guess they were called to speak to the HBIC RA, and they got in trouble, and they said, well, y'all are, you're bullying her, you're harassing her, y'all need to be moved out of this dorm room. And so not only were they forced to move out of the dorm room, they were forced to move into separate dorm rooms because it was obvious to everybody that they were the problem. So they had to be not only moved out away from me, but then they had to be separated. So they were put in completely different buildings from me and each other. And they were just so pissed about it. Like, they just felt like such an injustice had been done to them. And the thing was, I think it was Sarah. Yeah, it was Sarah who ended up leaving the college and she transferred to another college. So then she was gone. I think she came back after like a year or two, but she transferred, and then I just never saw Katie, which is weird because I was at a very small liberal arts college. You'd think I would have seen her, but I just was not seeing her. I think she might have been trying to avoid me on purpose because I was talking, everybody knew who I was. I have a very memorable face. But like, they had to be gone, and it was so peaceful once they were gone because I could lock my door. I didn't have to worry about my stuff going missing. I didn't have to worry about bugs and roaches or random dudes, popping up in my safe space, So I feel like, though, when I reflect on this situation could have gone a lot different, obviously. If I had been, because I can take accountability, if I had been more assertive in the beginning and saying, this is a hard no for me, this is a hard no, this is absolutely not, I think we could have had a little bit of a better situation. Now, would they have still acted a fool? Of course. They don't do what they gonna do. But as far as my part in the situation, I feel like I should have been more assertive in saying, actually, I don't want to share food. Actually, I would like it to be like a certain level of cleanliness to where we don't leave food out. Or I feel like we need to be letting each other know if we're going to have company over rather than just having people over. Because I don't want to walk in on you guys having sex because that's where the front door is, I don't want to see that. So I think that those are some of the things that I should have been more forthcoming about. Now, as far as them breaking other rules and wilding out, there's nothing I can do about that. That's between them and the school or the RA or whatever happens when you break like dorm room rules. But I definitely feel like it was a big learning opportunity for me because I learned what I was not going to put up with. And I learned what I needed to say next time I had a roommate. So this all happened in semester 1. So this all happened over the span of like a few months. So for semester 2, I was completely alone in my dorm room by myself. I did not move anything around. I didn't start sleeping in the other room or whatever. Like, I stayed in my part of the room with my little setup. Everything was cool. And then the girls on the other side of the dorm that I shared a bathroom with, they weren't problematic, except for one time a roach came out of their room and went into the bathroom and then went into my room. And I wasn't having that shit. I actually had to call my friend over. I said, we're moving all the furniture in this bitch until I find that nigga and I kill his ass. And we did. She was a ride or die. Love you. But other than that, I ended up living alone for the rest of that semester. And it was great. It was great. It was good. I was able to focus on my mental health. I was able to, focus on school and therapy and all of that stuff. And everything was fine. I'm not sure if they ever told other people about me. We didn't really cross friend groups. So it wasn't really a problem for me personally. I don't know if my friends ever talked to them or their friends, but I ain't talked to their friends. It was not a problem. Now, I will tell you just a little sneak peek of some future videos. There are some situations where this gets a lot worse, where it seems like I didn't learn shit from my experience that I told you about today. But we're going to get on that. We're going to get on that in the next video. But one of the things that I really want to drive home with, for those of you who are going to be staying in a dorm room, for those of you who are going to have roommates for the first time, whether it's in your college or in a home or an apartment or whatever, is have a roommate agreement and be very, very honest about what makes you comfortable and what makes you uncomfortable. Like if you need quiet hours, if you need certain rules surrounding guests, if you need rules surrounding parties, if you need rules surrounding the sharing of food or who's gonna clean what, when, you know, if you're gonna share spaces that you have to clean, like talk about that. Talk about that and tell the person that you're living with about that up front, so that if later on and they decide to not do that, you can be like, we talked about this, and also have it written down that you talked about it. Because some people are toxic and they'll pretend that they never said anything and they never heard anything and you never had that conversation. I'll talk about that in another video. But have that shit written down on paper, like signed, sealed, delivered, notarized, whatever you gotta do, so that you can keep control of the situation, because you do not want it to get out of control to where y'all are fighting over petty shit because of your different lifestyles. Because two people who have different lifestyles can still live together. Y'all just got to learn where to compromise, where the boundaries are, and how to respect each other's boundaries. But that's all I wanted to talk to you guys about for today. I got some more videos coming where I'm going to talk about other worse situations, but this was just my first time, you know, living with people, so I just wanted to let you know about it. But if you guys have any similar experiences, please comment below. This is the learning experience for all of us. I think it's important for us to have a community where we do talk about what we go through. But that's all I have. I hope you guys are taking care of yourself. I hope that you are getting enough rest and drinking enough water. And I love the support that I get from you guys. I love the feedback, so keep it coming. But until then, take care of yourself, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.